don't think in any way, shape, or form, and this is kind of the interesting talking point in this ACC Florida State lawsuit. One of the questions I have is, who won the lawsuit? Well, when it's filed by Florida State, wouldn't you think that Florida State would have to be the one to make the move? And I don't think in any way, shape, or form Florida State can claim victory here. Are they going to get more money in distribution? Sure. If you did not see the terms of the settlement, the ACC and Florida State, as well as Clemson, essentially came to a settlement that says, hey, if you get more TV ratings, you're going to get more money distribution from the ACC. That's essentially what this comes down to. Money will be given to the universities who perform through television viewership. That's how the distribution is going to go. I think it is the exact right way to go about it. I think that maybe, the spin here is, as you hear from Florida State and Clemson fans, Clemson doesn't have any fans. So Florida State fans, the spin you're hearing is that, oh, well, we won because you didn't win. There is no win here. I don't care how much distribution you get over the next 5 years, let's say. I don't care how much you get. You're never making back the legal fees. You're never making back the Ron DeSantis gave you $1 million money. You're never making that money back. And the hard part is, I understand that everybody's got to claim they got a victory here. But Jake, my answer to who won the ACC lawsuits is absolutely nobody.
Yeah, and let's not forget what the original stated goal of these lawsuits was. The original goal was to leave the conference. The original goal was, hey, we're going to go to the SEC, and then when that dream died, hey, we're going to go to the Big Ten, and then when that dream died, you stayed in the conference. So you didn't really win anything. Ultimately, what you did here is you made the best of a situation. You made the best situation you could out of a situation that essentially turned into, you're not going to leave the conference. You burned all this cash on legal fees. You took a massive hit to your reputation in the college football landscape without question. Nobody disagrees on that. And now you're just sitting here and you want to say, yeah, we won the lawsuit because we're getting, performance-based revenue distribution. I got news for you. Performance-based revenue distribution was going to happen whether you sued the ACC or not. That was coming down the pipe. We're seeing it in the Big 12. The ACC was inevitably going to go to that, and so are the other conferences, because there's just too much money involved in these big games to be giving out handouts to schools that are not playing on the same level as Florida State and Clemson. So I'm not going to sit here and say you won anything. You're just simply, basically picking up the scraps of a failed effort to break a grant of rights and leave a conference that's treated you really well over the years. And I might also remind people, a conference that you went to because you wanted an easier path to a national championship instead of going to the SEC when you had the chance all those years ago. So let's not sit here and characterize it as, hey, Florida State, has some incredible winning core and they're just crushing souls, because that is absolutely not what happened here. What happened here is you tried something, you failed at that, and now you're just trying to clean it up, and this is your solution.
Well, and I think everybody will likely point to, the buyout number being defined on some level. And we're going from a number where Florida State was basically saying it's going to cost us $500 million to get out of this, to, a declining buyout number, which I think makes a lot of sense. But let's make no mistake about it. You're not, if you are, Florida State or Clemson, like I love all the people talking about how, that North Carolina is going to the Big Ten. How? If North Carolina was going to the Big Ten, don't you think they would have made that move already? And I think there's this pie in the sky idea that when this settlement comes out this afternoon, because it should be around noon, that we get a real clarity about what the exacts on this are. When this settlement comes out this afternoon, you know what the number of the buyout is. For all the jackwagons saying North Carolina is leaving, they're just going to make their announcement as soon as they know the buyout number, right? They're just going to cut a check. Michael, MJ, Jordan, he's just going to sell one of his jets and cut a check so that North Carolina can go join the Big Ten, right?
No, they're going to pick up the whole university and move it to the Midwest as well, right?
It's amazing to me, the people who want to speak with certainty there's no evidence that you can get out of this grant of rights. And I would remind you, if you pay the buyout, that still does not secure your media rights. Like I think this is more about a revenue share based on performance than it is about getting out of the conference.
Yeah, and I think Florida State's main concern is saving face. That's all they care about. You're going to hear them today
getting a win on some level.
Yeah, they're going to come out and say that they got to win on some level, and this
we
lawsuit
never wanted
out.
to break up this.
We
conference.
never wanted to be the asshole in the room,
what?
even though our whole initiative. Remember, and this is what I love. We have in this world now selective memory. We don't want to remember the fact that early on in this process, Florida State said, this conference is trash. This conference is not good. We're the best team in this conference.
They damaged our brand.
Like,
they damaged our value.
And now, on the day that the settlement finally comes down, not on the day where you look like an idiot with the ESPN contract angle.
Well, Jake, it was illegal. There was malfeasance and fraud in the ESPN.
There was corruption.
I mean,
come on,
fraud.
Dude. Come on, man. And now we're going to sit here and say that, oh, man, we got this huge win. And gosh, like all the legal fees in the quote billable hours are not undefeated anymore. It was all worth it. No, it was not all worth it. Because ultimately, this idea of performance-based revenue sharing is not unique to the ACC. This is not unique to Florida State. This is not unique to Clemson. This is a college football talking point that is going to continue to manifest itself in these different conferences. It's going to continue to grow in stature and notoriety through the Power Four. There is a reason, guys, that the Big 12 is talking about it already and going to it, because you can't have, Arizona State or BYU or whoever the top dogs in that conference are going to be this year making the same as a bottom feeder school in that conference. That doesn't work in college football or anywhere else in life.
Yeah, I think it is very clear that everybody's going to claim victory here because that's what we do. And I think that it is going to be very difficult, whether you're in the Big 12, the Mountain West, the ACC, doesn't matter. This grant of rights is bulletproof. You're going to pay to get out or you're not getting out. And it's going to be hundreds of millions of dollars to get out. That's what it comes down to. And I would remind you, it may be fewer hundreds of millions of dollars, but at the end of all of this, if you want to leave the ACC conference, you're going to pay hundreds of millions of dollars to do it.
And my only question is, why are you trying to leave the ACC right now when everything that's going on is going on? Like, we have all these talks about the Super League heating up. We have all these talks about, we're going to talk all about today about the college football playoff and scheduling and all that. Like, you've got that whole piece of the conversation. Like, you have all these things that are going on in college football. And you're a school that's in a conference that's paying you reliable money that you can live on, and you want to mess that up. And I would also point out, on the heels of our private money conversation yesterday, might be a good idea for Florida State and the ACC to follow the Big 12 down the private money route in order to shut up Florida State. Because at some point, there has to be some sort of agreement between Florida State and Clemson and the ACC about what's going to make everyone happy. Because my biggest thing here is this settlement's going to come out today, and then 2 years down the line, Florida State's going to be complaining again and not going to be happy with the terms of the agreement.
Well, and I think it's very interesting that you're looking at it being a rolling average. And I'll just continue to beat this drum. You have to win. You have to do everything you can do to get to the college football playoff, or you're not going to get paid. That's what this comes down to. It's a 5-year rolling average on viewership, which means you have to consistently win so that people will watch your games on television, so that you will make more money. And if you consistently win and you are relevant to the point where people are watching your games on television, what does that really mean? You're making more money and you're winning more games. That's what it comes down to. But people across college football don't want to do that. And why don't they want to do that? And we're going to talk about Greg Sankey here in about 15 minutes, because there's no emphasis to play big games and win big games.
Mm-hmm.
Your best bet is to schedule Mercer in November and get into the college football playoff. That's your best bet. And I think what this ACC lawsuit settlement does is it kind of nixes that idea, because you need, in my opinion, and I know, again, you're probably tired of hearing me say this, but in my opinion, college football needs 12 big games for every major team. Every power team should play 12 power teams. That's what's going to drive more TV revenue. That's what's going to drive more sponsor dollars. That's what's going to bring more fans to the game. That's how you grow the game.
Facts.
But in a conference like the ACC, where 3/4, 75% of this conference, I don't think give a rat's ass about winning football games. I don't think they care. And now the ACC in a place where you're probably going to be the last power conference as far as bids to the tournament. So your basketball cash cow is going away now, shrinking. And a lot of that is North Carolina is not very good, right? They're having a terrible season. Trust me, as a Carolina fan, I realize this. They're having a terrible season. The whole league is off in basketball. You've got to incentivize, as this settlement does. You've got to incentivize every team in your league to do everything you can to win every single football game you play. That's how this game is won. That's how college football is won. That's how you make more money, which is what all of this is about. Play big games, grow your brand, win those big games, make more money, stay out of court, put the money in your pocket. I don't think it's rocket science, but apparently it's rocket science to people like Florida State, who never, and I repeat, as I have said from day one of this lawsuit, never had a chance to win this lawsuit. They were never going to have a judge tell them that they were free from the grant of rights in the ACC. There was never evidence ever that the ACC and ESPN's broadcast contract was fraudulent or had malfeasance in it or there were lies. Ever. There was no evidence. We told you that from day one.
Never,
ever. Yet here we are giving lawyers hundreds of millions of dollars in this process back. How many years now? How long has Florida State been trying to get out of this grant of rights?
Billable hours are undefeated.
I mean, it's remarkable to me how much public money has been wasted on this. That's who won. The lawyers are who won.
Mm-hmm.
Florida State didn't win. Clemson didn't win. North Carolina's not leaving the league. And the ACC didn't win. The lawyers won. That's really what this comes down to.
Yeah. And I think the point about, Florida State never, initiated this suit with the intent of winning it in court
is ridiculous. Come on.
Like they initiated the suit to get change to happen in the conference. Okay. I mean, if that's how you want to do business, and this to me is the biggest point, the umbrella point over all of this, which is, hey, if Florida State and Clemson want to choose to do business that way, that's on them. That doesn't mean that the rest of the conference has to, play along or somehow engage in those type of tactics. But I think the real problem is now Florida State has put itself in a position with, I think, high risk of unintended consequences, as we always talk about. You've created a change that now makes it so that you're getting paid on a 5-year average. So let me get this right. The change that you paid all those billable hours for is that you got to win, and you got to win consistently. And furthermore, you got to have TV ratings while you win.
And I think very accurately, very justifiably, if you're the bottom team in the ACC, there's a chance you're going to make $20 million less per year than the top team in the ACC. If you go to a bowl game, if you go to the college football playoff, if you have a television audience, you're likely to get between $20 and $25 million a year per your own money. That's what the Big 12 is lacking. That, in my opinion, is exactly how college football should be handled.
Mm-hmm.
That's how revenue distribution in college football should be handled. That doesn't mean this is a win for Florida State. And it certainly doesn't mean it's a win for the ACC.
Yeah, I just
because
think
I don't think it is.
I just think it's rich that Florida State Nation, Seminole Nation, wants to claim victory over this lawsuit. I thought that was so on brand for who we know them to be. We know them to be the yapping dog in the room. We know them to be the fan who's always talking and always wants to let you know about it. And ultimately, again, you can't have, another year like you had last year, Mike. Like, you can't allow your team to be that bad where Boston College is beating you. Like, come on, dude. Like,
and
what are we doing?
But I would also remind you on the exit fee part of this, we don't know what that structure is. We don't know. And I think everybody's latching on to what Ross Dellinger said yesterday, that it's presumed that the financial penalty will go down every year. We don't have a firm answer on what that is.
But you know what I thought when I saw that Ross tweet? And maybe I have this backwards, but as you work through a grant of rights contract, right? Like in any grant of rights situation, as the years go by, your exit fee continues to go down, right? Or no? Like, if you have 1 year left, is it still $500 million to leave the ACC? Well, I wouldn't think so, right? Like, ultimately, as you work through any contract, hell, it could be a car loan, right? It could be your mortgage. Like, the cost to get out from under that, if you will, goes down. And so I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they come up with. It'll be interesting to see what that changes. I just don't think that this is some sweeping, victory and everything's amazing. Like, I think what it is the ACC conference is changing clearly. And I'm curious if, performance-based, revenue sharing turns out in the end, years from now, to be a conference-wide or like a sport-wide thing that turns into, hey, we started this in football. Now it's bleeding into basketball. Now it's going to bleed into softball and baseball and stick and ball. Like,
yeah, I don't know that. I don't know that you can do it with lower level sports.
Yeah,
I know that you can do it. Like, everybody was pissed this week that game day was going to Duke and Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And why would you be pissed about that? Where else would you have game day go this week? So, like, if I was looking at the schedule last night, because there was a significant conversation about, obviously, Cooper Flagg's last game at Cameron, even though most of you jackwagons on this show still want to tell me that he's coming back next year. And so let me get this right. They celebrated Pooper and the Cooper last night at Cameron because he's coming back.
But Monty, UNC's going to the Big Ten.
That must be it. 28 points for Cooper Flagg last night, right? So I ask you, if we look at the college football slate this week or the college basketball slate this week, ask yourself, where are we really supposed to go other than Duke, Carolina? Because I don't see another solution. I don't even see another attractive game. Are we supposed to go to St. John Marquette? Are we supposed to go to Kentucky, Missouri, in Columbia? Oh, I know. We're supposed to go see the best player in the country in what could be his last regular season rivalry game with North Carolina. Why would ESPN go somewhere else?
Yeah, people criticize ESPN for being obsessed with that matchup and that, it's tired. But
Louisville.
Cooper Flagg is the best player in college basketball, and you're always going to go and watch him.
South Carolina, Tennessee, Iowa State, Kansas State. No, Penn State at Wisconsin. Let's go to Wisconsin, Madison, to see Penn State in Wisconsin. Why would you do that? And the answer is, of course you wouldn't do that. You're going to go to Duke, Carolina, which is your big game of the weekend on ESPN. It's at 6:30 Eastern time on the 4-letter. And you're not like, it's wild to me that we don't understand. We're going to put the best player in a big marquee matchup on national television. And they should get paid more because Cooper Flagg's the best player and he plays at Duke.
Yeah.
He should get paid more for that. Duke should get paid more for that. And now they're going to get paid more for that. And I really would love to understand why that's such a hard concept to grasp. And I think it likely is because you hate Notre Dame because they're always on TV.
Right.
Notre Dame is playing a critical role in this settlement. I don't know how many people, and most people probably don't even recognize this. Do you guys understand that as part of this settlement, Notre Dame agreed to schedule Clemson and Florida State on a regular basis? Why does that matter? Well, because it's going to get them a bigger TV audience.
Which, again, is going to affect their 5-year rolling average.
Who's not watching Florida State, Notre Dame? Because I'm watching.
Notre Dame, our mother.
So it's all this stuff. I just feel like we hate the big brands because they get the Cooper Flags of the world. I again tell you, write letters, call your presidents, tell them to win games. Call Oak State and tell them not to cut Mike Gundy's salary. You should have fired him. Call Baylor and tell them to fire Dave Aranda. Instead of ignoring Texas Tech, we should be celebrating Texas Tech today. Because look at their basketball team, look at their football team.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this conference should be about. Celebrate Utah, who fired their basketball coach last week. The men's basketball coach got fired because it wasn't good enough. And now they're probably going to hire Alex Jensen. Celebrate that. Celebrate that you fired the offensive staff at Utah football. That's what this should, that's the message that this should be. Celebrate West Virginia because you went and got Rich Rodriguez.
Not because they have a great song.
And I love people like, oh, West Virginia's dropping out of Division I football. No, they're not.
Come on.
Like I
Better.
had so many people trying to tell me, well, North Carolina's out of this league, Monty. Okay, so where are you? North Carolina's out of this league, Monty. Where are you guys when that settlement comes out today and North Carolina doesn't file their paperwork?
Well, Monty, it just didn't happen this time, but it's definitely going to happen,
I am amazed. I am amazed how many people want to, well, this is happening. Where are all the Florida State fans now? We're out of this conference. We're going to the SEC.
We're going to run that league.
No, you're not going to the SEC.
Okay.
You're not. Because if you were, it would already happen.
Roll Tide!
And I'll say this same thing about the Mountain West and the Pac-12. Here's another lawsuit about a grant of rights and its exit fees not going before a judge, not getting a ruling in your favor. Here's another instance in this what feels like this growing momentum of let's sue to get out of paying what we owe, where you lost because you paid what you owed to the lawyer, and at the end of the day, did you really get a windfall of money? Did you really save a bunch of money? Did you improve you didn't. There's no precedent. There's not a single time in history where a university sued a league and won.
That's the bottom line.
It doesn't happen.
No.
It does not happen. It's not going to happen in the Mountain West and the Pac-12. That case, again, I think I have been very accurate on that story. That case is never going before a judge.
Facts.
And if it does, the Mountain West is going to win. We've seen it repeatedly.
It won't.
They're going to mediation because they both know. And this is, again, the whole, well, we won. You didn't win. You're going to mediation, and you're probably going to pay less exit fee, and you're probably going to pay less poaching fee. But did you really win? No, because you still lost money because you're paying lawyers. So you didn't win.
It's
You
just a
didn't save
matter of
money.
how you want to cough it up, dude.
It's just a matter of who you're cutting the check to.
Yeah.
Because you're not saving money on the poaching fees because you paid the lawyer.
Yeah.